And the reason, and here is the outcome of my apple pot pie with some ice cream and a caramel sauce with caramel drizzle. Honey, get in there and go try this. I pray you enjoy it. Thank y'all so much. So much for watching Mama's Comfort Cooking. I'm the cook and you're my friends. Y'all enjoy this, okay? See y'all. Hey y'all, this is Tracy from Mama's Comfort Cooking, and today I come to show you how I'm going to make these delicious, wonderful apple potbelly apples. These are my potbelly apples. So inside of here I have 1 cup of sugar and a half a cup of brown sugar. This is what we're going to start with. I also added a half a teaspoon of salt. I peeled my whole apples and I took the core out of them. Now to this, we're going to add just a few more things. We're going to add some vanilla flavoring. We're going to add us about a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. And you can measure this for yourself, but I'm going to measure it from the top of my head. Just 1 teaspoon starting off. We're going to let these cook a little while. We're also going to add about a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Just a half a teaspoon of nutmeg. We don't want the nutmeg to overpower the flavor, but we do want it to cook into it, okay? Then we're going to add us about a teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're going to let these boil for a little bit before we go to the next step. A teaspoon of cinnamon. Sorry about that. And we're going to stir this in so it doesn't matter where the cinnamon falls. Maybe just a little bit more to your liking, so you can change the cinnamon and the nutmeg. And we've got the vanilla flavoring. So far what we've got is in water, we've got 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a cup of dark brown sugar, we have 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. If you want to add more, you can. The last ingredient that we're going to add, and we're going to let this come to a boil, is we're going to add our lemon juice. The lemon juice is going to give the citrus in there. I'm trying to open it. It's going to give you some citrus. And it's also going to get the apples not to change to a nasty brown color, okay? So just add a little lemon juice. It's just going to cook in it. It's going to be all right. So that's just like a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice. Stir it. Let it come to a boil. And then we'll go to the next step. How about that? All right now. After 15 minutes, we take the apples out of the brine. We set them to the side to cool. And we're going to add just a little bit more cinnamon on top to your liking. Okay, just a little bit more cinnamon to your taste. And then I have taken some caramel from the brine and I added it into some of the brine. And I'm just going to let it, I'm going to pour it right in on the apple. Just like that. Just so sitting in it. It's just going to sit in that caramel cinnamon. Okay? Very good. Now it's time to make the pie crust. So that is next. Let's get started. Next, we're going to start working on the crust. So I've got about a half a cup of shortening in here to about 3 cups of flour. I'm going to work this in really good. I always do mine. And this is all-purpose today. This is not self-rising. This is all-purpose. We're getting ready to make a pie crust. And we're not wanting the pie crust to rise. We want it to be dense. Okay, but we want it to be good. I added a pinch of salt in here, which is about a half a teaspoon of salt in here. Okay, that's all I've added. And then the shortening, again, which is a half a cup to 3 full cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to work that in like that really good till it's crumbly, to where you can't really see where the shortening is versus where the flour is. Okay, and then we're going to start adding the buttermilk, we want this really tight. So once we get it to the consistency that we want it, we're going to tighten it up a lot by kneading more and more flour in there, okay? So now we're going to use about 1.5 cups of buttermilk. I'm using whole buttermilk. 1.5 cups of whole buttermilk. Okay, we're going to work that until it becomes the consistency that we need. Then we're going to start tightening this up. Okay, we're going to start tightening it up. We're going to add just a little bit more buttermilk in here. I didn't use a whole 1.5 cups, okay? So we're going to use the rest of that. So you can use anywhere from 1.5 cups to 2 cups. And I got you directly in here because I want you to see what I'm doing. All right? We don't want it really loose at all, because we're going to make a crust. I have the buttermilk cold. It's going to be just fine whether everything is cold. The shortening is not cold. It is room temperature. And this is good enough for me because I want it thicker than when I make biscuits, okay? So that's pretty thick. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this out, put it on the counter, and we're going to knead more flour in here. And we're going to get this really tight. So hold on, let me put some flour on my countertop. And we're going to turn this into a very tight-fitted crust. And we're going to go to the next step. Is that all right? So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to shake it more and more on the surface, just to get this as tight as I can get it, okay? All right, that's enough. I'm going to take that dough. I'm going to put it on the surface. We're going to work it out. So here we're just going to take it. I'm going to push it back a little bit so you can see me. And we're just going to work this as much as we can to make it really tight. It's not going to be like a soft, sweet biscuit. Okay. And after I get through pulling this flour in here, getting it really tight like I want it, we're going to roll this out, okay? And we're going to make this pie crust amazing. After we roll the dough out, you want to get the biggest part of your dough cutter. You just want to cut it in circles. So I'm cutting 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have 4 apples, okay? Now we're going to thin each one of these out. You just remove the extra that you have. Don't get rid of it now. It's still going to be good, okay? We may need a little bit more of that, okay? And now we're going to thin these out even more than what we have already, okay? So that we can get ready to put our apples inside, all right? So now we're going to cover this apple up. And it actually took 2 of these round ones to really make enough to cover the apple. So you want to be careful because you thinned it out a whole lot. Stretch it as much as you can. Take it to the center just like that. Okay, as much as you can, get it around there. You can trim off what you need to trim off, but try your best to close it up without breaking the skin. I kind of do folds with mine just because I like me a good thick pie crust. And I don't want it to be broken up. If you break it, just fix it with your hand and pinch it together where it's needed to create the apple. You can take and cut designs in here. You can do a leaf design in here if you want to. But first you want to get it all covered. Make sure that the apple is completely covered. And then you can work with it. And you can design this any way you want it. Now we're going to bake this on 450. The oven is set for 450. And I'm going to go and I'm going to use my water. And I'm going to seal this really tight. Check the whole bottom of it. Make sure I don't have any cracks like right there I do. I'm going to go and seal it real good with water. And then we're going to do all of them this way. You can cut little lines in there. You can even cut the design of a leaf. And so we're going to put these in the oven. So when we get back, we're going to do some more of these. Once you get through making your apples up and covering them in your pie crust, go ahead and add some brown sugar on the outside of your apples. Just sprinkle you some brown sugar on the outside, just like that. Just a little brown sugar on the outside of it. Just a little bit. Then we're going to put these in the oven on 450. In the oven on 450. Just get a little bit on the top. The rest of it will be at the base on 450. Now when we come back, I'll tell you how long they cook. And you'll see some amazing apple pot belly pie.